Welcome to the Missouri Valley Conference Game of the Week preview show presented by Mercy, the official orthopedics and sports medicine provider of the Missouri Valley Conference, with Coach Ryan Pedon of the Illinois State Redbirds. I'm Harry Schrader, and Wednesday at 8 p.m. on your local Gray Media stations and then Matrix Midwest here in St. Louis, the Redbirds will be taking on the first place Drake Bulldogs. Ryan, thanks for joining us today. The team, your guys had won 3 in a row before they lose over the weekend. Things seem to be rounding in the right direction for the Redbirds. What are you guys doing well lately?
Well, I was asked that last week. Is Coach, what's the difference? You're winning some of these close games, and before you might have in the month of December, January, might have been losing some of them. And I don't have a magical answer. There's nothing like, if you look statistically, if you're watching our games, there's nothing that stands out that you would say, wow, they're doing this now and they weren't before. The reality is those 2 or 3 possessions that we might have been losing, we've been winning more. And there's a very small margin for error, as we know, for those that follow our conference, to understand how many close games there are, how many 1 and 2 possession games there are. It comes down to all the little things over the course of 40 minutes. And I think our team has gotten better at that. I don't think we're where we need to be quite yet, but we are definitely trending in that direction. Our trajectory's up. I think it would be hard to argue that we're not playing some of our very best basketball of the year right now. So our needle has always been pointed to St. Louis and playing our best in February and early March. And that remains the same, Harry.
I think you mentioned the close games. I think 5 of your conference losses have been by 6 or less, and so yeah, you're just right there in that spot. And there's a battle going on. There's 3 of you, I think, tied at like 5th place and 2 games out of 4th place. Positioning at Arch Madness really does matter, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that getting the bye is a goal for every team, but I'm not going to sit here and act like it's an end all, because it's not. If you follow college basketball, you see it every year. Teams win 4 or 5 games to go win a championship, and it's not an end all. Does it help? You can make that argument for sure. Is that a goal of ours? Yeah, absolutely, but it's not an end all for us. Bottom line is you're going to have to win games on a neutral floor, play well, and do the things that are required to play well that time of year. And that's what I try to keep our focus on. You can easily be distracted by a lot of different things over the course of a long college basketball season. You really can. And distraction will spell doom for you if you allow it to. And I want to keep our players' minds on the things that matter most. And that's winning each day, preparing for our opponents the best we can, and executing the plan that we have for each and every game, doing the things that are required to win games in this league.
Chase has been so good for you. You and I swarmed him and kind of took him offensively out of the game a little bit. Do you expect teams to follow that blueprint against you, or are you surprised it took this long for people to go swarm him like that?
No, I think every team's different. I do think you and I think their connectedness with their post doubles is as good as there is in the league. I will say that. I knew that going in. I think Titan Anderson's a big reason for that. They got the big fella inside that does a good job. He can match. He's one of the few bigs in the league that can match Hudson, that can match the physicality that Chase provides. But I give a lot of the credit to Titan Anderson, the ground that he covers. When he posts doubles, you feel it. And, he's a game changer. Titan Anderson has been in this league a long time. He's been in this league since Chase Walker was a sophomore in high school. Okay. He's a winner. And he made plays in our game on Saturday that ultimately were the deciding factor, if you ask me. And that's what great players do. So I give him credit. But I think Chase is seeing different coverages of all shapes and sizes, and that'll continue as we go along here in February and March.
And we hear about Chase a lot. We hear about Johnny a lot. Jordan Davis has been in the starting lineup lately, and he provides a lot of different kinds of things for you. I've been just enjoying watching him and watching Pence, uh, and his role. Talk about those two guys.
Well, I think Jordan Davis, we've talked about it before, Harry. I see a guy that is his maturity has allowed him to get to this point, and he's been through some tough stuff. Hasn't always gone his way. He's remained coachable. He stayed the course. He's kept a great attitude, and I see a guy that's very comfortable in his own skin. A guy that's embracing who he is. He's playing a very, very valuable role for our team on both sides of the ball, and it takes some humility. It also takes some maturity.
Hmm.
And I think Jordan Davis has both. Ty Pence, I would tell you, Ty Pence, the jump that he has made just in his mentality and his approach from year one to year two, it's high level, and I give him all the credit in the world. Um, Part of his improvements has been basketball related. I would argue that more of his improvement has been mentality related, mental approach related, and that's maturity, right? I mean, there's a natural process that we all go through and all players go through in college. It's not easy for them when they get here. A lot of them face adversity, strong adversity for the very first time in their lives in terms of athletic performance.
Hmm.
And how he's responded to that adversity tells a lot about him, the way he's been raised, and his coachability. And I'm glad he's a Redbird. I love Ty Pence. I love everything about him. And he's got a very, very bright future.
In the offseason, you guys picked up players that would help you in the three-point shooting arena. I wonder if the scheme changed uh, as well. Meaning, like, did you guys do anything differently systemically because you guys were so bad at three-point shooting a year ago and so outstanding at it this year? And I know some of that's just additional players.
Yes, some of it is, I would say, a little bit systematic. I think more of it's personnel related, right? We had an interior guy last year, Miles Foster, that we played through a pretty good amount. But the gravity that our other four players on the court provided, or at times didn't provide, that sort of defined us, right?
Hmm.
And this year, what you're seeing is we have one real strong interior presence in Chase Walker, and our lineup looks a little bit different than it did last year. Kendall Lewis was an athlete, a rim attacker, a rebounder, a finisher, a guy that scored most of his points and did most of its damage in the paint. Well, it's hard when you have two guys that are doing that in the paint. It's a lot easier when you have one and you've got four others that can stay spaced on the perimeter. Having great perimeter shooting helps your bigs, and having a great big and a guy that can finish inside helps your perimeter shooters. So the two work hand in hand. I just think the roster balance and some of our personnel maybe is a little bit more fitting to the way I like to play. And in year three, I would hope that that's the case. As we're building our program, sometimes it doesn't always look exactly how you'd want it to look right away. But I do love the makeup of our personnel right now, and then what it's going to be moving forward as well.
You guys have Drake on Wednesday. Obviously, they're spectacular. Nobody has been able to really slow down Bennett Sturts. I think in the first Murray State game that they played, they held him down a little bit. But how do you defend that guy that's liable to have his name scratched on the Larry Bird Trophy at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think he's by far and away he's your player of the year. There's no question. It's been, you know, uh, so obvious. Just the way that he impacts the game in all shapes and sizes, right? His floor leadership, the way he takes care of the ball, the way he values possessions, the quality of shot that he generates for his team, and his assist turnover ratio is outstanding. So I have great respect for him. How do we slow him down? How do we make him less efficient? How do we limit his impact on the game? Harry, I'm not going to share our entire game plan here with you, but what I will say is, you have to keep, you got to continue to keep coming with him. You can't be deterred. You can't hang your head. You got to understand what he's really, really good at, and that's making those around him better. There's no doubt he can score, He can shoot the ball when needed. He can draw fouls. There's no question. I think the very best thing he does, the greatest gift he has, is his ability to make those around him better and highly effective. And I think for any team guarding them, you got to limit that as best you can over the course of 40 minutes. Obviously, easier said than done, but a great challenge for us, one that we welcome, and it's one that we want this time of year.
They play really slow. You guys like to get it going. How do you enforce your will on them a little bit?
Yeah, I think we got to play our game. Understand that, unless we're willing to really open up the floor for a guy who's an unbelievable playmaker, and allow him to go make plays in space as we're trying to speed it up defensively. Unless we were willing to do that, then I think we got to be us. I think we have to be us. I think the reality is they want to play slow. That's fine. What's it going to require from us to combat that? Well, it's going to require a persistence, a discipline, a connectedness from all five guys for all 30 seconds. And every game's different, Harry. So what's required, that's what I look at is what's required to play the way that we want to play and beat this particular opponent. Because the game will look a heck of a lot different than our game Saturday against Northern Iowa. And the next game after that's going to look a heck of a lot different than this game against Drake. So leaning into what's required in that particular game. And, with these guys, there's a very much a persistence that's required, a willingness to grind that's required, and a commitment to winning possessions. You cannot give away possessions when you're playing a slow team that's very efficient.
Appreciate your time today. Best of luck to you, Ryan.
Thanks, Harry.
Our Wednesday night coverage begins at 8 o'clock Central. For information on where you can catch the game, head to mvc-sports.com. For the Missouri Valley Conference, I'm Harry Schrader.